Hey Bucks, how you doing?
Hello, Jim. I'm very well, thank you. Busy, as I know you are, but
Hmm.
this is still, it's definitely a good way to spend a few minutes each week. Do I get a
Yeah,
brownie point for that?
excited busy as well. We're excited busy, good busy, which is cool.
Yeah, lots of moving parts,
Mm.
lots of moving parts, but I think they're all moving in the right direction, which is the
Yes,
important, which is the important
and
thing.
in the same direction.
Yeah, that's always a
Yeah.
benefit.
Well, we've got tons to do. So let's do this, and then we can get on and do the other cool stuff that all ties in quite neatly with the questions I'm gonna ask you and what we may discuss.
Okay,
So
you're so excitable at the minute.
with
I love it. You really are
well,
really
it
keen
is
for beta,
exciting.
aren't you?
Yeah, the beta thing.
Yeah.
We've been working on the schemes and stuff behind the scenes, and it's nice to start talking about it. And it will be fun. We're aiming for fun, but also building something really cool and exciting together. So
Mm.
that's great. So with all that happening, it is a good time to ask you for one point, how does autonomy actually work, like in practice, uh, and in a different way to how the internet currently works?
Okay,
How
gloves
is it different?
off this week then, are they, Jim? That's fine.
The
That's not
big,
a big question at
big
all.
questions.
If I can't get this right, I know that's going to be really awkward. So, okay, the big conceptual thing about autonomy that I have had to wrap my head around and that people need to wrap their heads around is it is essentially we are aiming to create a serverless internet. And what does that mean? Well, using an example that you used to help explain this to me, when you interact with something like a Facebook, for example,
Hmm.
you are connecting to a web server, and so is everybody else that is using Facebook. All the data that you put on there, all the data that everybody is putting on there is ingested into that server, and Facebook are the people that are responsible for building
Yeah.
a ginormous infrastructure all around that. And then what happens is basically they serve your data under their TO, terms and conditions and terms of service back to you. So it's not
Hmm.
really your data anymore, but that's something for another moment. But you are essentially asking for permission to get your data back. So there are millions and millions of web servers doing this, and a lot of the data is of course duplicated and it's
Yeah.
siloed, and there's pockets of it all over the place. But really, the way it's, and I know like SSO has solved some of that for convenience, but of course, by doing things like that, these big guys are getting more and more data on you that you're asking for permission to have back. But that is essentially how the internet works, right? It's all these independent servers with all of this fragmented bits and pieces of data all over the place, cobbled together, and that is your current internet experience. What
Yeah.
autonomy is trying to do is to create one giant, like I don't even want to call it a server, but it kind of is. Like you call it a super brain, don't you? It's like this one giant place. And instead of
Yeah.
asking someone else's permission, i.e., a privatized corporation with their interests at heart, you don't need to, because just like crypto, you hold the keys to your own data. And so the same with crypto, not your keys, not your crypto. It's the kind of a similar thing. So we've got the master keys to our data. And that's great for us because now we own our data and we've got complete control over it, and we can be assured that it's private and secure.
Hmm.
But it's also really good for people that are wanting to build, because now you don't have to worry about these enormous infrastructure costs,
Yes.
handling of private and
Yeah.
personalized data, all of the things that come as part and parcel with that, because that's baked into the internet itself. So now you can be more concerned about the experiences and the layers that you're creating on top of it, I think.
Yeah. Pretty much bang on. Like the serverless internet, we're not the only people just attempting that, but still one of the great unfulfilled promises of the next iteration of the web. But it's the kind of the requirement if we do really want to have ownership over our own data. And then, like what you're talking about, like empowering that new wave of builders and creators to make the future ecosystems without the gatekeepers, without massive oodles of capital required and creating all those annoying silos of data that don't talk to each other.
Yeah.
So then we can have software back doing cool stuff and fulfilling the needs of people and not just advertisers. It'll be great.
Yeah.
And
Great.
that's kind of what we're putting together. And the focus of the beta program is assembling that thing. It's also to partner what we make with real partner data with these ecosystem builders and the partners we're bringing in to serve that data. And we're going to be rewarding people who run nodes from home, like individuals like all you guys out there, on everyday devices. So can you talk to us a little bit about nodes from home, that concept? Like, what is that? What is hole punching? Like,
Oh,
what's
okay.
that all about? We've mentioned it a little bit, but
Yeah, no,
dive into that
it's
for me.
I can you might have to build on this because I really don't want to get this wrong, like jokes aside, because it's so fundamental to
Mm-hmm.
what we're doing. So as I was just saying, and as you corroborated, there is like we don't want any of these big monolithic servers anymore. We don't want the likes of, you know, the Amazons and the Facebooks and the Googles or the Alphabets of this world having all of our data. We want to put it on these everyday devices that are local to us, right? And so
Mm-hmm.
combining the spare capacity of those devices is hugely powerful, because that absolutely, the amount of spare capacity on those devices that are in our hands and in our possession absolutely dwarfs, you know, whether it's Google, Microsoft, Amazon, all of their data center capabilities and capacities. Like, we are infinitely greater as a joined up force with all of our own devices, which I
Yeah.
think is incredibly exciting. However, much of that capacity is sitting, and unsurprisingly, it's sitting on our desks, on our home PCs, on our computer setups, even in offices as well, of course, because they are the more powerful machines. And those machines, and you know, when you connect your Wi-Fi at home, or your other things like your tablets and your phones and all that kind of stuff,
Mm-hmm.
they sit very happily behind a customer consumer grade router, or router, as you would say in the US. And a router's job is basically helping you to connect to the internet. And what it does is it takes all the different IPs of all your numerous devices, it creates one IP, and that is what connects to the internet. Well, of course, that's not very useful to us, because what we want to do is use the capacity on each of those devices as individual devices. We need to be able to see them. We need the nodes to know they're
Mm-hmm.
there so that they can take on and do work. So we have to have basically something in place, and it's called it's NAT transversal, and NAT stands for network address translation, and it's just the way it communicates with the internet protocol. And we have to kind of, not to put too fine a point of it, like get round it or use it and create tools so that we can now use your home router, your home router, to be able to support the network. And an element of that is called hole punching. So that's one of the techniques, so that your home router can be used for us to be able to grow this network and use the capacity on your devices so that you are able to contribute. I think that might be a bit clunky, but that is my understanding of what it is and
Yeah.
to do.
That like we've got these really useful things, the routers that we have in our home that allow us to connect to the internet, and we have all the devices behind them, and there's other things in the way too, firewalls for security and all of that. And peer-to-peer networks, like we're creating a network of all these devices globally that are all going to mesh together into that big cyber brain. We need them to work across those devices as well, like connect really seamlessly. And you need a little bit of engineering to go into that to make that work, not just for people with data centers and with really highly configurable like routers and firewalls, like you get in those data centers. Needs to work for everyone. Needs to be easy. So that's some cool breakthroughs that we've made recently, getting that to work nicely using different technologies, and something we're continuing to build on and improve. But it's really good, isn't it, that now we can assemble this whole new web all together with everyday devices and have fun doing it too. So
I
that's going to
love
be
the
cool.
fact
I
that
can't wait.
I love the fact that that I mean, obviously, we plan this, which is why the beta program is launching when it is, because now everyone can participate. But I love the fact that you can do it from home with your
Hmm.
devices. So like so much of Web3 is about run a node and it's decentralized, and then everybody puts
Yeah,
on these virtual servers, right? And it's so you're not really, I mean, it's still contributing and I still get it because you're earning, but it's not the same thing as sitting here and having done something as cool as, like hole punching, to be able to really actually this thing to be not just conceptual, but demonstrable, and for people to earn rewards
yeah,
from it being
and
demonstrable.
it should
That's kind
be
of a big deal, right?
yeah, totally. And it should be. We're designing it specifically to be accessible to everyone. And I don't just mean accessible in everyone is going to be able to access the data on it and get hold of their own data because it's all encrypted and you hold the keys, but also like participating in the economy of it.
Mm.
At the moment, there's a lot of other cool projects out there, as I've talked about before, but some of them require like you need like 300 grand and a data center to run a node. And then what is that? That's obviously going to lead to centralization. So
Mm.
there's better ways, and there's ways that we're trying, and that we hope that everyone is going to join in with and build together, so we can all do it together. Um,
You're
but then
so
a final
fun.
question,
Let's do it together.
final question,
Go
or
on.
one more point, because
No, no, I've got
I'll
the
give you,
previous
you're two
two, but
points,
I'm
2 points.
trying. I'm really trying.
No, you're doing great. You're doing great. But why is it important? Why does it matter that things are run locally and start local first when it comes to our data? It's kind of related, but kind of different. But
Yeah, I think
I'm throwing you in there.
okay, so there's a couple of things. We've talked about the first one, which is, it's not your data if it's sitting on someone else's server and you're
Yeah.
asking for permission to access it. And we're back to pinky promises. They're saying it's secure. You're having to rely on that company not being hacked or not selling it or not doing things with it.
Hmm.
We've talked about instances where clearly that's not the case before. So there's a whole bunch of things. And I know one of David's real driving forces and philosophies around this is the protection of knowledge. So things aren't, censored away or homogenized or disappear because, there are only a few people that are really controlling the flow of information that we're able to
Hmm.
see, if nothing else. So that's one of the reasons. I think if you don't have meaningful control over your data, that's a problem. And that's where local computing absolutely steps in and helps. It's yours in the same way as if something's in the physical world yours.
Yeah.
But it hasn't been particularly usable or realistic, because what we're really wanting from what we've now got with everything being connected is that synchronization, and for us to be able to see things at the same time, as with the same, like, different people or our own data in different places, and be able to access it wherever we are, and it all sort of in real time syncs up. And so I think what we've now created is an ability that you're not compromising. I mean, it's going to take a bit to build on this. And like you were saying,
Hmm.
it's going to be amazing. And that's where people will be able to create incredible businesses, right? With a lot less cost and experience those things. But as a result, you're not really compromising your experience anymore. So you, with autonomy, will be able to access your data on any device, anywhere. As long as you've got your master key, it's yours, and it's blockchain agnostic, it's device agnostic. And that's why,
Hmm.
I mean, you're so lovely anyway, but you always talk about building things together. It's not because it's some weird sales tactic. It's true. We're such at the baseline here that everything you can imagine can be built on top of this, and I think that's really exciting. I don't think there's a compromise anymore, but local means it's owned by you and in control by you, and I think you're not sacrificing anything now, because you can still access this global super brain, as you call it, and all of the benefits of being able to do so.
Yeah. Yeah. I like to think of it like back in the day, pre-internet. We're both familiar with that. That time
Yeah.
before the phrase personal data was ever coined,
Mm.
your data was just what sat on your hard drive on your computer, and you used software to do stuff with it, to manipulate it and make gifts and get things done. And you didn't give a second thought that any other business or corporations would be eyeballing it or selling it to advertisers because no one could see it. And autonomy is like going back to that feeling. What's yours is yours, except now you get all the hyper-connected goodness of the internet to work with it and to make it super useful and to collaborate and make things together and all of the things. So
and the
there you go.
innovation perk for that as well, right? Just to double click on that because it's so important. I know it really matters to David and many others in the space, which is with AI, with advances in robotics, with like this incredibly artificially intelligent world that we have created thanks to the internet in many respects, we do need it decentralized. So to have it now back to all the things that you've just said of the past that were so important then, that are probably even more important now, because there is so much information about us now already out there. So we can't put the genie back in the bottle, but we can certainly all have our own genies to make it a little bit more of an even race, right? For whatever we're doing, whether we're, like you're saying, like creating and in collaborating or building or just experiencing things. And I think that's incredibly important. And that's why crypto is also one of those things that's only ever going to get more important too.
Yeah. Okay, full marks. Full marks. But I won't give you the marks directly. I'm gonna actually put them on the leaderboard
Oh, in the
for
beta.
the beta rewards program. And you'll only
You're
be able
going
to
to
cash them
start
in.
giving out places for beta awards. We can do that next week. I think there's 12 places, isn't
Yeah,
there,
okay.
left?
There is, yeah, that people are clamoring for already.
Yeah.
But yeah, let's do that. And if you're good, I'll let you have one of them.
Thanks.
How about
I really
that?
do need, I was waiting for hole punching. I need to be able to easily select
No, no,
on my home
me too.
network.
Me too.
Yeah, I am not a
Yeah.
online interface girl, as much as that'll surprise you. Until next
Okay,
week.
cool. Right, well, I'll see you next week then. Did I get a thumbs up thing that time?
You didn't
No. All right.
fine. Bye.
Just wait by.